Bubblegum Simulator Infinity, a well-known new pet hatching simulator game, which has been losing quite a lot of players in the past months. The game went from over 300,000 players to just about 6,000 only about 4 months after release. Newest updates were meant to actually get the game more players, possibly getting it to above 30,000, but it ended up completely opposite, and the game only lost even more players, now going below 5 digits. And the update I'm talking about is World 3. The game has different worlds, just like its original version, but ever since World 2, it only received events. So at one point, developers started to mention World 3, and in the Update 10 changelog, they also said World 3 would be the next thing to happen. Well, seeing this changelog, you can tell it definitely did not happen after Update 10, or Update 11, or even Update 13. The update was meant to be big, and developers had to delay it all the time. And in July, they opened this new channel called Sneak Peeks, where among all the leaks, some were posted about World 3 to hype up the community. The update was moved many times, as you already understood, like at least 5 delays for sure. And those weren't small delays, but week-long ones. And this actually caused some problems, since World 3 was worked on, that meant other updates didn't have much time spent on, which wasn't good for the game. The amount of content per update lowered, which especially was noticeable with something like Update 9, where they added one quest, a new egg you'd almost never see, and this thing that gives boosts. Basically barely any content to play with. Did that affect the player count? Well, this is how it looked like in June, so I think the answer is obvious. So the closer we got to the release, the more developers hyped it up, calling it a high-quality big update. And then the update finally released, which meant we could check out what took developers so long. If we were to start with the changelog, it really doesn't look very promising, right? I mean, if the update was meant to be big, then changelog makes it look pretty average. And it really wasn't that big. So basically, the entire thing was a new world with islands on water instead of air. And you just fish, then sell the fish to get coins and hatch pets. There is weather too, but it's just day and night cycle with rain sometimes, not much. What I do think is cool though is their fishing system. They tried to make it a bit more unique, but that's kind of it when it comes to good things in my opinion. What many people hated this update for is auto-fishing. You see, auto-fishing is completely pay to win. There is no option for free-to-play players. Macro exists, but it is not intended by the game, and, well, only can be used on a computer too. Many players got mad at the studio because of that, since if there is auto-hatching, auto-bubbling, and auto-minigame all for free-to-play players, then why is auto-fishing locked behind paywall? Free one could just be a worse version, but it still would make it a bit more fair. Part 2 of the World 3 did make it slightly better, since it introduced rod enchants and baits. You could now get a crate while fishing, which added some variety to what you get when fishing. I actually ended up getting one randomly. As you can see, it can give you baits. Those baits will increase odds of getting more crates, getting mutated fish, getting rarer fish, and more. And yes, there are mutations for fish. But the thing is, you can't hold the fish to see how it looks, not even in the inventory. It just appears as this dot in the index, pretty much. So what enchanting does is pretty simple. You roll for something good and get different boosts. Pretty simple. The update was basically made to add more to this world, since Part 1 sort of felt empty. But I doubt it really fixed the main problems, such as auto-fishing being locked behind paywall, something that gives a pretty big advantage in this case. One thing did change though. The game has a lot less bots now, so it lost a lot of bots, but also a decent chunk of players since World 3 was added. But obviously there are other things to criticize World 3 for, other than pay-to-win auto-fishing. If you go to the fishing journal, you can see these icons on which you click to move around. They have images that perfectly describe what they are about. What I mean is, items 1 has a bag as icon, since it acts as one basically. But pay attention to the last one, it has a boat there despite info having nothing to do with boats. Well, there is a reason for that. A sneak peek from late July, we could see that the info tab used to be called Boats, which means originally we were meant to have boats like this to travel around islands. And honestly, when I first played this world, it felt like boats should have been a thing. But there is more. On the same sneak peek, you can see how Fish Index says the ocean. Back to the World 3. There is no ocean option in the index. It seems like Rumble decided to scrap the idea of boats and map exploring, which is honestly lame because the update could have been much more fun. Speaking of scrapped ideas, another sneak peek now from mid-July shows us something else. The fish info. We can actually see that it has different weight here. And obviously now, if you were to check fish info, you will see everything besides the weight it was meant to have originally. Things like this could have made World 3 better and more fun. They aimed for something like what Fish does, and that game proved to work good as soon developers don't get too greedy. But besides things just not being added to World 3, there are moments where they kinda got lazy. The Infinite Volcano has this egg called Lava Egg, and if we go back to the release world, there is this egg called Magma Egg. Do you notice something with the design? They just copy-pasted the model and made it less fun pretty much. Another thing now from Part 3 is that fish icons were never made. I'm not even kidding. I can switch between Dream and Atlantis and you will see no changes, because the icons are the exact same, not even a recolor or anything. At this point, it gets a little hard to defend Rumble Studios, honestly. But I would be lying if I said that they haven't done anything positive. One of the things people liked Rumble Studios for is their communication. When the game released, they actively talked with the community, which later sort of disappeared. But then in early July, they made these two channels, Dev Updates and Sneak Peeks, which I already mentioned. They are used to communicate more, and with the help of them, they can share leaks and info about updates. They even had polls to ask the players what they wanted, which really benefits both sides, since players get what they wanted, and developers get more respect for actually taking community's opinion. So, there is one thing in this game which has been a very big problem: memory leak. It was a thing since release, and I experienced it many times. So basically what that means is, if you were to hatch for a while, your game would end up like this, or even worse. Your memory usage skyrocket and FPS drop badly. So I actually went back to the game and decided to see if any changes have been done. And I was surprised to see that the game worked clean even after 7 hours of hatching. Just to compare, the FPS before and FPS after, basically no change. The same can be said about memory usage. So they either fixed it, or hatching isn't the one causing it. Ever since release, the insane amount of chat messages could lag really badly and would cause the game to almost crash. Since I didn't get many messages in my little experiment, I couldn't test this theory. But besides that, the game does have many other smaller problems and bugs. Balancing is a whole topic itself. Starting with pets, we have many issues here actually. The summer event pets always had terrible coin stats after being converted, so even the secret pets are bad. Overall, the stats can get weird, like why does this secret pet has more coins than bubbles, but the other secret pets have more bubbles than coins. Also, here's an example of a pet having a typo in the stats, with coins being 1,000 lower on the Candy Hydra, which isn't a very common pet too. Super Hexarium, which came right before it, has no issues with stats. That is to just compare. Don't even get me started with the potions that were meant to be rare but were quickly made much more common. They did recently add new ones which seem to remain actually rare, which stops people from using them 24/7. Also, how about a 1 in 10 billion secret pet? If you thought that was hard, then take the 1 in 40 billion secret pets, which aren't even secrets anymore, but instead they got a new rarity called Infinite. Things might have gotten a bit out of hand with the odds now. The game was awaited by many thousands of people. Since the original game was one of the biggest old simulator games people have a lot of nostalgia for. But it seems like this game had the same fate as two previous games Rumble Studios made. Mining Simulator 2 started off good, but lost many players quickly, and Pet Catchers also had a good start but did not manage to keep the players for much longer. And obviously a game like Grow a Garden also played a role here. That game was becoming much bigger right when Bubblegum Simulator was losing players, so I would imagine many decided to go for it instead. But the fact still remains the same. Bubblegum Simulator Infinity has many issues of its own, which makes people want to leave and go for a different game instead. World 3 felt like the last chance to bring the game more players again, and it failed pretty badly, making even more people just quit the game. I can tell you that World 3 is the reason I don't even play the game for now. Maybe we'll see this game gain players again sometime, but at this point it feels like most of the players won't return because they just got tired of how the game was handled. At this rate, the game might not even make it till 2026. Anyway, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I would really appreciate that. You can watch one of these videos while waiting for a new one. They are good too. Join my Discord server. You can chat with me and other members. The link is in description, and I will see you soon.